Clearly, there was something I didn't know. My dad knew these strangers. They knew Ben and Dad, and yet they didn't know the rest of us. It was only suitable for an introduction, and that's what my father gave them. "This is the Sparrow Academy," he said, gesturing at us. "The finest selection of super beings in the world." I'd beg to differ, considering that he was just yelling at me 5 minutes ago in his office. Reginald Hargreeves, the two-faced man. Even if all my other siblings were the finest, I was obviously not among them. "Sparrow Academy," one of the strangers said, who looked like the leader of an indie rock band. What happened to the umbrellas? Umbrellas? What was this? The beginning of a Rihanna music video? I sunk deeper into my chair, biting my bottom lip in confusion. "I don't know what you mean," my dad said. "There are no umbrellas here." "Is this a joke?" a curly-haired woman said. "I'm afraid not." As my father began to go on his long spew of nostalgic rants, I zoned out. I knew he'd be praising his intellect and most likely explaining how sparrows were supreme, so naturally I did not want to listen to that conversation. Instead, I took the opportunity to observe the 6 breachers that called themselves the Umbrella Academy. There was a tall man with muscles the size of a gallon of milk, a woman who I swear I've seen on a magazine, a greasy-haired man who had a ton of knives on his belt, a man that looked like a 70s Jesus, a thin woman with a brown ponytail, and a short man. Not short man. A teenager. Unlike the rest of the group he came in with, he looked significantly younger, maybe similar to my age. I narrowed my eyes, taking in his timid presence. His brown hair was slicked into a perfect style, and he was wearing a navy blue version of our academy uniforms. Peculiar. Before I realized it, he locked his eyes with me, cocking a brow. He must have noticed I was staring. "When?" a voice snapped at me. "Stand up, like the rest of your siblings." I broke my gaze with the teenager to see my dad glaring daggers at me. Apparently, I was too busy judging the Umbrella Academy to know my own had assembled into some sort of line. Ew. "No, thank you." I grinned back. "I have bad knees, so I should sit this one out." "Don't embarrass me in front of these guests." "You do a pretty good job of that yourself." "If you refuse to stand, I will deal with you later." "Let me check if my schedule is free." I yawned, persuading. "Nope, all booked." Scoffing his pompous scoff, the man turned away from me and faced the rest of the strangers in front of me. To be honest, I was in a pretty bad mood, so I didn't give a damn if I embarrassed everybody else. I missed out on my peanut butter sandwich for this. As he began to resume his talking, I noticed the teenage boy was staring at me more intensely now. I would have found it creepy, but surprisingly I liked the attention. No one else here would give me any anyways. Tilting my head, I rolled my eyes at him in boredom, just to see how he would react. It was the only bit of fun I could have while my dad was rambling. Surprisingly, he rolled his eyes back at me. Interesting. "Now," my dad snapped, "I want all of you out." "Oh?" "I'm sorry," the woman said, brushing her curly hair out of the way. "What?" "You have no place here, so you must leave." This time, the thin ponytail woman cut in. "But we're your children." I actually felt kind of bad for them. Apparently, they didn't realize my dad didn't care for the word children and wasn't going to treat them like such. He preferred students, or stubborn trash, which was a nickname only created for me. Yay. That was sarcasm, by the way. I'm not excited to be called trash. "You're not my children in this life, and you're too much of disappointments for me to let you stay here." My dad continued. "All of you, your irresponsibilities will rub off on my students." Damn, he was treating them like me. Weird. Dad, what the hell? 70s Jesus said, "Are you insane? Get out of my house, or I'll escort you out myself," Reginald commanded. I didn't like seeing him have power over that group of strangers because it reminded me of how condescending he was to me. He spoke to me the same way, an unfortunate way. After hearing the word disappointment, the teenager scowled and shook his head. I guess he was used to it like I was, which I found also interesting. "Yeah," I yelled, hoping to take away my father's dominance on the conversation. "I guess it's time you pack your umbrellas, Umbrella Academy." "Huh. Watch your mouth, Wyan." My dad scowled. I nodded my head. "I would love to, but my eyes can't see my lips from here." So, maybe that joke wasn't as funny as I thought it was. Gasping, my father whipped his cane out toward the hallway, his voice raising. "Go to your room at once," he yelled. Apparently, he didn't care about embarrassment either now. "I will not stand for your disrespect." Fine, I groaned out, getting out of the chair. "See you later, dummies." As I brushed past the strangers, I made sure to lock eyes with the boy. He surprisingly did the same. His gaze followed me as I retreated up the stairs to my room. Before I turned the corner, he sent me a devious look. A smirk creased on his face. Oh, now I noticed he had dimples, 2 in between his lips and his cheeks. But that wasn't what I found the most interesting. Apparently, in the time I had been observing him, he noticed something about me. I wonder what it was. If you're listening to this, I hope you have an amazing day, afternoon, or night, whenever you are. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.